Welcome to the Problematic Podcast, where I interview leaders who are solving important problems and helping improve lives. Follow this podcast to hear from visionary business leaders every single week. And now, here's Noel, Aruliah. Okay, Noel, could you tell me about yourself and what problem you're solving?
Yeah, Devin, it's an honor to meet you. And mate, the problem that I'm solving, so a bit about myself. I'm Noel here from Melbourne, Australia. So the other side of the world. And in 2018, I should say, I accidentally started a group called Subtle Curry Traits. And with Subtle Curry Traits, it was a bit of a joke, a South Asian humor page where myself and a few others, we put some memes together in a private Facebook group. And then what happened was, we had no idea that this would happen, but it actually went viral, this group. People started to add their friends in, and very quickly it went from 2,000 to 5,000 to 10,000, and people were streaming in, and we had no idea what was happening and what people were doing. And from there, after that, we had to sit down and go, why are people joining this group? And we soon realized the reason why was because people actually love the humor, and they wanted to find others like them online. And the beauty of it was that we found our mission. We found our mission, which was we actually like to bring peace and stability and unity online. And so our mission was defined very early, and that was to heal with humor. And so that was born, heal with humor. And from there, what the problem we're trying to solve, Devin, is in the South Asian space, there's many different countries, if you're familiar with that region. So you've got India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, lots of other regions. And generally people in these regions, they don't get along together. Like, the small countries have got, beef with each other. However, what we realized was the people joining our group were from all of these different countries and all these nations, and they shared very similar humor. And so one thing that we want to do is, through our humor, bring people together, break down the barriers of cultural divides and different pieces that happen, and heal with humor, bring people together and mobilize them so that they can achieve what their life purposes are through this community that we've built. And today, fast forward 6 years, this community that started with a few thousand people as a bit of a joke has now grown into more than 1 million members and is one of the largest private Facebook groups on the planet, which has been an exciting journey.
That's crazy. So, what's been your favorite part about working or starting this community?
One of my favorite parts was early on in the journey, when it was going viral, and we were trying to make sense of what was happening. And so early on, it was very interesting. We had to bring people on board to keep up with the demand of the community. There were so many memes coming out, so everyone wanted their post approved, and we had to create a smart system and a team to cope with the demands. And so how it worked, Devin, on our page and today as well, is someone can submit a meme or a video or any form of content really, and there's a process of moderation, and we have a team of moderators that actually selects the content that's funny, that resonates with them, and then approves it so that can be showcased on the platform, and then it gets many likes and comments, which is good fun for all those involved, as people tag their friends, etc. And so one of the funnest parts was in those early days, finding people to moderate the content, right? And so we put out a global call on our audience, and we got people from many different countries who we interviewed and we got on the team. And a common thread across all of these people that we had and that we were interviewing, one thing was they were super funny, switched on, and loved the South Asian culture. And to make sure that they were fit for the job, what we did was we gave, and I believe this is a world first. We're going to claim it. I'm sure someone's probably done it, but we did a meme test.
A
So
meme
we'd give
test.
people a meme and we'd analyze how they think and like, do they find this meme funny? Why do they find it funny? Why not? And how do they go about that thought process? And so that was a test that we gave people, and it was just so fun giving that to them and seeing how they found stuff funny. I thought it really helped to identify what needs to happen. So that was uh, that was one of the funnest parts, mate, in interviewing and finding people from around the world who were able to join.
Did you have any paradigm shifts like in the last 5 years when you started this community?
Absolutely. At the very start, it was a joke, right? We just put it out. We put the content out and we're hoping for the best. But one of the big paradigm shifts early on was in the world of online, there's a lot of trashy meme pages. There's a lot of just junk online. And there's not a lot of people who use the online space. I'm sure there is, but we need more who use the online space to bring people together, to instill positivity, to have a laugh, right? So we're still a humor page. We have a laugh and we're fun, but also at the bottom of it, we want to ensure that we're respectful of each other, that we don't offend another culture, and that together we can actually see that all these people are similar and we're all human at the end of the day. We share a sense of humor at the end of the day. And so a big paradigm shift was we need more positive people online with good intentions. And so that was one that I saw was missing, is still missing today. We still need more of that. Um, and so there's lots of opportunities for people who want to step up into that area.
How did you grow as a person after starting this community?
I'm a completely different person to who I was 6 years ago. So 6 years ago, really, I was in uni. I just started sort of working really like a corporate job, and this kind of fell on my lap. And prior to that, I had no idea about really how to run an online business, how to manage people, and especially in a remote setting. How do you manage people on other sides of the world? And how do you lead and set a vision to a group of people and take them on that journey? Um, and so I think those were three key areas that I was stretched in. Another area that I've grown a lot in as well is taking risks and being okay with failure. So through the years of Subtle Curry Trades, we've tried lots of different campaigns, ideas, strategies, many of which haven't worked. And that's been okay as well, because when we found ones that have worked, they've been even better, right? And it's been awesome to work with our team and enjoy the fruits of that. But that wouldn't have come without the trial and error that came before. And so a really big call out and a learning is just my willingness to try things, to learn from mistakes that we might make and take it from there.
So how has subtle curry traits changed or adapted over time?
It's how it's changed and adopted is how we express our community. So we've started on Facebook. We then transitioned into Instagram as well. And then once COVID came, it was important to, ensure that we've consolidated the community, and we provided the support during that time when everything was online. But over time, mate, how it's evolved is beyond just being an online community, it's actually become an in-person community. And one
Yeah.
thing I've learned is in-person interactions, when you meet someone in person, it's about 50 times more impactful, in my opinion, than an online meeting. Like I think post-COVID, especially with our generation who is more accustomed to virtual things, in person is just so valuable. And so uh, one way it has evolved is we've started to do in-person meetups and actually meet with our community, which has been very, very powerful. And I look forward to continuing to explore what that looks like in the future as well. So that's one way it's evolved. The other way is it started with, memes, good fun, laughing, etc., which is great. And then over time, because our demographics, right, we are South Asian immigrant kids, really, and biggest audiences are in the US, so where you are, Devon, actually, Australia, Canada, a few other countries in sort of the Western world. And it's been very interesting to see us grow up together and to see us move into different places of influence and going from a meme page where we laugh to actually connecting and understanding that there's a lot of value in the community and the diaspora that's involved there, which has been.
Could you explain to me what you were saying, like the value of a community and how important it is?
As humans, we are built for community. Like, life is not meant to be done alone. Uh, if you're listening and if that's something that you struggle or grapple with, or you're trying to fill that void, like, just know we're built for people. Whether we're introverted or extroverted, doesn't matter. Like, at some capacity, we all need community, right? So that's been an age old thing, that stays true today. Now, how we express community has evolved over time. So obviously in the past, it's been very heavily in person. However, now that the world has moved online, the way we do community has shifted in the last 20 years or so. And, the beauty is me sitting here in Melbourne, Australia, as a Sri Lankan immigrant kid, right? I'm connecting with you, Devon, in Iowa, in the USA, on the other side of the world, and we have community, and we're learning about each other. We're doing this podcast right now, which would have been pretty much impossible 50 years ago, I'd say, or even 30 years ago. And so technology has advanced a lot for us to be able to do community well, and do that in new ways. However, my biggest encouragement would be in-person community, wherever you're planted, wherever you live, is still very, very important. And that's essential for us to thrive. And there have been studies done, and I encourage people to maybe research them in their own time. But there is links to, your happiness, life expectancy, health, all these sorts of elements of life, and how planted in community you are as well. So do life with others. It's very important.
Cool. So, could you tell us how you plan to grow subtle curry traits, or just what the future of it looks like?
Great question. The future of subtle curry traits is how do we go from this incredible online community to empowering those in our community to achieve, their life visions and goals. And so one big thing is actually understanding the stories of individuals within our community. One thing we've started this year, we've done a few episodes of, is our newsletter, and we're featuring more curry stories, stories of people who've immigrated to, Australia or another country, and how they find the change in culture, what they're learning, what they're up to, and sharing these stories to let people know that they're not alone in the journey of being, sort of an immigrant or an immigrant kid. And we want to really call out greatness in people who are sort of this community, and ensure that they have opportunities to be creative, to try different things, to build businesses, and to look after each other in the South Asian community. One thing I'm very passionate about is, as a South Asian community, let's not be competitive with each other. Let's come together despite, whatever our religious beliefs may be, despite whatever our country of origin may be, despite a lot of these things. How can we come together, work as humans, and thrive in life and help each other out? So that's really where I see the future going, is a lot more in-person meetups, sub-communities, getting our hands dirty to empower and inspire others. Another thing as well is, how do we have good conversations with influential and prominent people in the South Asian space who are leading at this, and share thoughts and ideas. So doing that while still, continuing with the memes online, it's important that we have a laugh, Laughter is often the best medicine, Devon. And so it's important that we don't neglect our humor as well.
Okay. Could you share the key events like in your life from childhood to now that have impacted to who that have impacted you and made you the person you are today?
Yeah, 100%. Uh, I think, and one of the biggest things in sort of that journey is my personal faith. Um, probably at sort of a young age, 13 or so, um, made that decision, and that's been a journey in itself. But ensuring that I have a personal faith and knowing that my mission on earth is it's bigger than me has been a massive part in making me who I am. And you know, like I attribute all that to that. So that's a very important part that I'd say. Um, the next part as well that is really important is as a young kid, I was blessed to travel and see a lot of the world. I don't know the exact number, but there was some ridiculous number of countries that I'd been to at age 18. Shortly after I hit like 25 countries. So very blessed to be able to travel and see a lot of the world at a young age and understand that we have it really, really, really good, Devon, here in the Western world, whether it be Australia or in the US where you're based. We're a very small percentage of what the real world looks like. So doing that, and then going especially to more sort of third world countries and helping out on various trips and seeing again just the complete disparity between where we are and what some of the other world looks like was a big wake up call to shaping me into who I am and going, I need to make the most of my opportunities and really thrive and grow and excel in whatever kind of God puts in front of my hands. So that was sort of the second one. The third one, I will mention subtle curry traits and the accidental founding of this page. Without, this, I believe, I don't believe in coincidences. I think, God puts things on our path for a reason. But without subtle curry traits, it would not have opened the door of understanding how to lead in a different way, how to grow things, do movements, run things online, start a business, learn business principles. Um, from that now, running keynotes and speaking at conferences, helping other businesses with their social media, and a whole array of different things. And it's grown my confidence in new ways. Even the way I'm talking to you right now, Devon, on a podcast. So starting that and and having a go at business has been a terrific learning. And so those would be some of the points. And the final point I'll mention as well, because we're almost there, is I'm getting married in less than 2 months. And so very life defining when you find a life partner. It's an important step and starting that journey in that season well. And that has also been a very important and marking point in my journey.
That's really exciting. So, how do you plan to manage when you're married a good balance between business and your wife?
Great question, Devon. An important question. The answer is we need to ensure we are in control of our time and time is not controlling us. So planning to plan is a very important principle that I've been doing my best to live out to date and will continue to evolve in, especially once we get married. And so what planning to plan looks like is you have time in your calendar to plan out your day, your week, your month, your quarter, your year, and you're very clear with what that looks like, what your time looks like, right? Where are the areas that you're focusing on work, on your business? Where are the areas where you're not and you're switching off because that's just as important and making that very clear with, whoever you're going to do life with. So that's an important principle, Devon, and ensuring both parties are bought in and see the same vision there. So that's how we're going to approach it. The other one as well, in terms of practical tips, is ensuring that, you're sleeping and waking up at good times. You're calling each other out when, maybe you're not being productive, or maybe when, let's say, I'm working too hard or doing too much, being open to actually receiving that feedback and going, I might need to pull back and spend more time. So that's also something that's very important through the process.
Okay. So, what are some other ways that people can manage their time, like with their relationships or just for themselves?
One big thing that I'd encourage people to do is set aside time each day, right? It can be literally 30 seconds, and ask yourself this question: what did I learn today? Right? And I've been doing this practice for years, and it's important to reflect on our days, what went well, what didn't go well. Where did maybe we not spend the time we wanted? Did we sleep in that day? And just reflecting on our day. And then, whilst you do that, the next day, what you want to do is set 3 key things that you want to achieve for that day, right? And that's very powerful when we take everything down to a daily level. We reflect on our days and we say, look, I want to achieve these big dreams and goals, but tomorrow, what are 3 things that I can do to help me get there? And so, at a very practical and daily level, that's a good way that we can plan our time. Now, if I'm going to work backwards, Devon, I think, in Proverbs, it says, without a vision, the people perish, in one of the translations. I might be paraphrasing that. The gist of that is we need to have a vision in order to succeed and head somewhere. And often, things and times change, right? And circumstances change, and we need to pivot, and that's okay. But I think it's important that we have a vision of where we're heading and where we're going. And so, for me, one thing that I've personally done, and I've encouraged everyone listening to do, is have a 100-year plan. So what that means is, if you were to live to 100, and dream big, what would you do in each decade, in your 20s, 30s, 40s, etc.? When do you think you'll be married? When do you think you'll have kids? Think of some of these practical things. What sort of, do you have a big dream of maybe a business, or, doing some ministry activity, or whatever it may be? Where do you envision that? And that's very powerful at a big scale. And then what we can do is okay, what are our 1-year goals, right? Where do I want to be at the end of these 12 months? Writing down those goals. Then taking it a step further. Okay, to achieve those 1-year goals, where do I need to be in 3 months' time? And what are my quarter goals? And then going a step further. To achieve these quarter goals, where do I need to be at the end of the month? And to achieve the monthly goals, where do I need to be at the end of the week? And then to achieve those weekly goals, what are those 3 things that I need to achieve today? And breaking it down to a daily level. And so I think as we've got that vision and we can break it down into the daily, that's how we're going to see it come to life. And that takes discipline, but that's really important. And that's actually going to give us time back and help us to chart the direction of where our life's heading.
So, how has that 100-year plan affected you and your life?
Massively, Devon, because I realized that this life is so much more bigger than me. There's more to live for. There's a bigger purpose out there. And it also then shows how small today's struggles and challenges are. Often we can get caught up in what's right in front of us, and why things aren't maybe happening as quick as they should be happening, right? So I think the younger you are, you want things to happen quick, and you're like, oh, what, we can often get impatient. However, having that 100-year plan gives perspective on, look, if I was to live for this long, and the thing is, life is not guaranteed. Today could be our last day on earth. I hope it's not. But we also need to know how finite life is, right? However, that being said, it puts into perspective what today's problems and challenges are, and also shows and gives that motivation that there is more, that there is a future, that there are things to look forward to and work towards. And I think that also ensures that there's clarity, purpose. And I think when you've got that vision, it helps with things like doing those daily habits that you might not enjoy. So very important.
Okay. On the topic of time and age, what advice would you give to your 18-year-old self?
My 18-year-old self, one thing I do is I'd say don't follow the popular crowd. That's the biggest advice I'd give. Stay away from, partying, you know, different things in our world that take us away from our true, I guess, how we're meant to live. And so how I'd look back on that season and what I'd say to people in that season right now is find someone who you want to be like in whether it be 10, 20, or 30 years, or even older. Find someone that you want to look like in the future and connect with them, ask them to mentor you, learn what their habits are. Ask this question to them. If I was 18 again, what would you be doing? And put those things into practice, you know? Um, and I think it's as simple as that. When we're 18, we struggle with peer pressure. We struggle with what others around us are doing. And we want to fit in, like we might have just, finished school and we want to maintain that friendship group and things like that. And it's important to keep your friends. However, it's also important to know, like, now you're an adult, now you're in the real world. And it's okay to, find what you're going for, form new friendships. And especially at 18, you've got so much time, invest in growing yourself, in your success. And, put your, as a person of faith, I'd say put your faith first, build those foundations there, get that really right and in a good place. And that will carry you as you go through your years. And so those would be a few small but powerful tips I'd give to someone that's 18.
What's a good mindset that someone can use to get through those peer pressure years?
A good mindset is the reality really in life is, other than family, it's very rare that people stick out for your entire life. I read a stat somewhere that if you've been friends with someone for 7 years, then they're more likely to be a friend for life.
Mhm.
Right? But it's very rare that we actually are friends with someone for 7 years consecutively. Right? And so one thing I'd say is be friendly with everyone, right? Like, there's no point going out and making enemies. So don't do that. Be friendly. However, you don't have to be best friends with everyone. I think that's the key. Don't be best friends with everyone. Find the few people who inspire you to become the person that you want to be in the future. You feel like you're called to be. And the biggest thing, Devin, is the five people you hang around with the most, right, is who you become like. So that's a very important principle. And so you often have to ask yourself, who are the 5 people I'm surrounding myself by? Because I'm going to probably become like them, right? And that's a very, very interesting thought. So you want to surround yourself with, like I said, a mentor, someone who you want to be like in the future. That's great to have someone like that in your 5. And other peers as well who are on that journey and who have big vision. And I think with peer pressure, one thing, and there's no stat on this, but this is just an observation that I made and that I ponder on often, and that is people think 90% about themselves and like 10% about others. And an example is, I might be thinking to myself, I'm just making this up. Oh, Devin might think I'm weird because I'm wearing this black shirt, right? Whereas Devin, you probably didn't even notice or care. right? And similarly, when we go about life, we often think, oh, someone's going to notice if I do this or that, or, say this thing or do a certain way, where people genuinely don't care. And I think people, especially in our generation now, they want to see someone who's authentic, who lives out what they believe. And so I think it's just really important that we live out our convictions to our life mission and, respect people along the journey. And you will find the right friends as you go about your life purpose. But when I was probably 18, 19, I had to go through a season of cutting out some friends in my life or not spending as much time with them. But then new friends, came around. And so that would be my encouragement.
Okay, so to find good people to be around is just cut the bad people out and be nice and respect other people, and they'll come.
Absolutely. And in terms of like, how do you find good people around you? I think being in those, those settings and asking people to come alongside, to catch up with people that you respect, and being proactive in that. And even the cutting off the bad people, I think, it's if there's people that are negative influences in our life, definitely we want to distance ourselves, but also making it clear, like, you might still be friends with them, but you just might not see them every week or every day. And that's okay too. So it doesn't have to be a formal cutoff by any means of the word. It might just mean you don't see each other, every month. And it might become a yearly thing. And prioritizing, where you want to be. And, I really believe like where you fish is the type of fish you'll catch, right? If you're fishing at a bar, for example, right? Sure, there's nice people at bars, right? But you might get one sort of person versus if you fish at a library, you might get another type of person, right? And ultimately, the question is, what sort of people do you want to surround yourself with? And where are you sort of putting yourself to be there? Going back to community, where does your community that you need to be with, where do they exist?
So, what are some ways that people can put themselves out there to specifically try to find these good people to surround themselves with?
One thing that they can do is ask themselves, where do I want to be the next 10 years, 20 years, 50 years, etc. And let's make a list of what that looks like. So let's use an example, Devin. Let's say you wanted to build a business, right? And employ people in your community. You wanted to be a business owner, in X years or whenever that goal was. And so you want to ask yourself, okay, where are the people that run businesses in my community? Where do they sit? Right? Where do they hang out? And then you might do a Google search, right? It's so awesome that now there's all these events and things that are available online or information online, right? And you might find out in your city that there's networking events that happen every Thursday night at the community hall. So you might want to go to the community hall one Thursday night, check it out, and you'll meet some interesting people. And you might meet a few that you really connect well with. And you ask them the question, I want to be a business owner and do this in X amount of years. I respect what you're doing. I love your story. What's your community like? Where do you hang out? Can I surround myself with more people like you? And believe me, more people are open to, letting us in and spending time with us than we think. Like if we show genuine interest and we respect the other person and people, there's lots of opportunities to learn from others in our community, right? And then from there, Devin, you might, they might play golf on Fridays, right? As like business owners. And then it's going down to golf, playing golf. And then they might have dinner after. You have dinner with them. They introduce you to other people in their world. And from there, the network grows. And however, the key step to getting even there is actually understanding what sort of network do I want to be in? And then number two, which is very key, taking that first step to go outside your comfort zone and go to an event or some sort of meeting to surround yourself with those people.
Yeah, that's really good advice. So, how can listeners get involved and support you and what you're doing?
Absolutely. If you want to follow my journey, the best thing to do is follow me on LinkedIn. Shoot me a message, connect with me, shoot me a message. I would love to catch up as well if that's something that interests people to inspire them. And from there, uh, also would encourage you to check out Subtle Curry Traits and the community that we've built. So those will be two awesome ways that you can support and follow the journey. And also, I'll say, support this man, Devon, as well. Keep watching his podcast because he's doing some incredible things and he's having some awesome people as well. So continue to support him. That will also be my request.
Thank you, Noel. I appreciate it. Have a
All
good
good.
day. Yep.
Awesome. Thanks, Devon. Thanks, everyone. Nice to chat.
Yeah, thank you.